Well, welcome back everybody to my shop. Now this is part 3 on this medium-sized open segment turning that I'm getting really detailed with, or at least trying to. Okay, so this portion will be on cutting the segments, the open segments. Now, most of you know this already, but open segments, the most commonly used size of open, you can make them different sizes. Most commonly used size is what we call 70%, which means for a given ring diameter, a given number of segments, the open segment is 70% size of the closed segment would be. Now here's a closed segment. I forget how many segments. I think it's 16 per ring. That's for a 10-inch ring. I forget what size it is. I made it a long time ago. But this is the open, open segment for the same number of segments for the same diameter ring. And you can see it's only 70% of the size. Now when we cut a segment, this of course is the height of the segment ring when we finish. This, on this end, is the cut length. That's the cut length we cut it to get a certain diameter ring. And this dimension is called the width. The width, of course, is determined by the width of the sides of the turning and the angle. Let me explain that to you. Now in the turning I drew this out in gigantic scale. Actually, it's twice the scale as normal. This ain't really accurate either. Now on the bottom, the first segment, it's going through at quite an angle. So this segment here has to be 3/4 inch in width so that the side can go through it. Takes up more room. Now up here, where the side almost straight, the same width of sidewall, 1/4 inch thick, and it only takes about a 3/8 segment to cover it. Of course, I make them with a little bit extra, give me some room for slop. You never can get them real perfect, I don't think. But anyway, that's the difference. Now, I normally cut just one size. I don't try and cut 15 different sizes. That's a waste of my time. And normally what I do, this here is only 3/4 of an inch. I need be. The material I'm using is 1 inch thick. So what I'll do, where's the piece? 1 inch thick. So what I'll do is just rip a 1/2 inch piece off, and then this will actually be the width of the segments. And then I'll cut a 1/2 inch, make 1/2 inch height. And I'll just make one size for all of them. Because I'll just rip it off the edge. It's going to get wasted anyway. If you try and cut it a different way, it'll just get wasted, just get cut down and thrown away. So like I said, now this is an example. This is 16 segments, I believe. Closed segments. And the open segments. Now you'll notice the open segments are actually smaller, 70%, than the closed segments. And the angles are also smaller. Now the nice thing about open segments is you can cut them, they don't have to be the exact precise angle. Unlike closed segments, if the angle's off a little bit, you'll never know it. Of course, it can't be off a whole lot. You will notice it then, yeah. But if it's only off a little bit, you'll never notice it. And the same thing with the length. If it's off just a little bit, you'll never notice it. Whereas in a closed ring, if it's off a little bit, your ring will grow or shrink. Again, you got to be pretty close. And the more segments you have, the closer you got to be. Just like closed segments, more you have, more accurate you got to be. So we're using 32 segments on this turning. Let me get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. we're using 32 segments on this turning. Like I said, segments are going to be 1/2 inch high. So how do I cut segments? Well, you can take your board, you can run it across a jointer. I run this one across a jointer. Now if I want, I could just rip off 1/2 inch. Then I'd have one good glue surface here, one good glue surface. If I need another piece, I'd run it through the jointer again and rip off another 1/2 inch. If I only got one good glue surface, then I mark the other side with that wax marker. You can cut it a little bit thick, put it through a planer, plane both sides. Then you got two good surfaces. Bring them all down to exact size you want. In my case, it's going to be 1/2 inch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them and run them through the drum sander, get them exactly what I want. So I'll run them all through at the same setting, so they'll all be the exact same height. You want them all the exact same height. You don't want them any different, no matter how you do it. And there's probably other ways you can do it too, but you need at least one good glue surface, one good flat smooth glue surface. And they all need to be the same height. So I'm going to take them and run them through there. Now, I got your drawing, so I can measure from the center out and find out the diameter that the first segment ring's got to be. We know the base is 8 inch, so the first segment ring, I'm going to make it, it's going to be 8.75 inch. And of course I got my 32 segment cheat sheet here. So 8.75, I'm going to have to cut it to a length of 0.6032. The angle's going to be 3.9. 3.9, of course, I've got marked on my sled. So the first thing I'm going to do is prepare some material. Now, before I said I had some wood I was going to use, and I said I might change my mind after I, thought about it, cut them. So this is the Peruvian walnut I'm going to use. I'm going to use it for 2 of the stripes, and in the middle of it, I'm going to put the sycamore. Then I've got the sapelli for the other 2 stripes. Then, whoa. In the middle of it, I think, instead of putting black limba, I think I'm going to put some nice, pretty tamarind. That will go good in it. And then, of course, for the light spots, I'm going to use maple. So I got them all. I got a piece of black tamarind, or black limba, rather. Black limba. But I think, well, I know tamarind would look a lot better. A little more expensive, a little bit harder than this. So I think I'm going to use the tamarind instead. So now, I've got to cut some pieces and run them through the drum sander and get them all 1/2 inch. So I'll just rip them off the side, a little bit more than 1/2 inch, run them through and get them down to 1/2 inch. Then I'll be ready to start actually cutting segments with them. Just brute. Now, I cut these right off the edge of the board. And then I cut them a little bit thicker, 1/2 inch. And then I put them through the drum sander to get them right down to 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, probably about 0.504, something like that. And being as how, I cut them all off, being as how some boards are just a little bit thicker than the others, the result is that these aren't all the same. So when I cut segments, of course, this direction will be the width of the segment. These segments here are way exaggerated, but this will be the width of the segment. I kind of like to have them all the same. You don't really have to. It makes it easier to turn. So what I'm going to do is take the thinnest one and then trim all the rest down. Just rip them very little bit. Trim them all down to get them the same. Get them all the same width. Okay. I got them trimmed down now, all to the same width. They're all the same. They're all the same thickness. So I'm ready to start cutting segments with them. Now, if I look at my sheet, the segment, where's my diagram at? I had a diagram here. Where's it at? Let me find it. The segment that's going to be the widest will be the first one here on the bottom. If I measure it, it's going to have to be just a shade under 3/4 of an inch. And these are all now they're over 3/4. They're almost 15/16 of an inch. So I got plenty of width when I cut them. So that'll work out okay. Now, if I measure from here to the center, from there to the center, get the diameter of the ring for that particular segmented ring. And for this one, it's going to come out to just about 8.6 inches. So I get my cheat sheet here, cheat sheet for 32 segments per ring, both closed and open. And I find there is no, I made these cheat sheets by the way. There is no 8.6, there's 8.5 and 8.75. So 8.5 has to be cut to 0.5860 inches, and 8.75 has got to be cut to 0.6032 inches. So if I take 0.6032, 0.6032, and subtract 0.5860, 0.5860, I get 0.0172. So if I want 8.6 inches, I'm going to make it about 0.59 should be good. 0.5, 0.59, Yeah, 0.59 will be good. So I'm going to cut the cut length. Again, the cut length is long to 0.59 inches. I'm going to make the cut angle 3.9 inches for 32 open segments. Closed segments is 5.625 inches, so it's 70% of that, 3.9 inches. I got that marked on my sled. So I'm going to go ahead, set my table saw up to cut them, then I'll figure what ones I need to cut. I got my table saw set up, my sled's ready. Now the first ring I want to make, this ring here, it's actually on this pattern, it's going to be this ring right here. So there's 4 replications. So one replication requires 2 Peruvian walnut. So I'm going to need 8 Peruvian walnut. 2 of the sapelli, so I'm going to need 8 sapelli. Got 2 the maple, so I'm going to need 8 maple. And it's got one of the tamarind and 1 of the sycamore. So I'm going to need 4 the tamarind and 4 the sycamore, which gives me a grand total of 32. So I am going to go over now to my table saw, and we're going to try to cut some. Okay, I got them all here ready to cut. This one don't have the little diamonds from the bloodwood, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different woods. Got my stop block set up to 0.59, but first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to turn the dust collector on because you never hear what I'm saying. I'm going to cut a test piece with some scrap wood. Don't get my hand nowhere near that blade. And now I'll measure this piece. Just a little bit large, that piece. That's where I want it. Now I've got to cut the segments. I need 4 of the tamarind. I need 4 of the sycamore. Now I only need 8 of all the rest. I'm going to go ahead and cut them. Okay, I got the first row cut. Got them lined up according to the pattern. Don't make no difference where you start on the pattern. But it's 8 segments and then a repeat, so I got 4 rows of 8 segments. It's sapelli, tamarind, sapelli, Peruvian walnut, sycamore, Peruvian walnut, maple, and maple, and then repeated, and repeated, and repeated. So now, just for show, normally I would glue this on before I cut the next row, but I'm going to cut the next row. So look at the next row, and I got the same number of segments to cut, but the pattern changes. And of course, the diameter changes. So the diameter of this ring is going to be about 9.2 inches. So, of course, I don't have a 9.2 inches on my cheat sheet. Got a 9.25, which is 0.6377. We'll make it 0.62 inches. I'm going to set that up to 0.62 inches and cut 32 more segments. And again, the number's the same, the pattern's different. So I'm going to cut 4 each of the tamarind and the sycamore and 8 of everything else. So I'm going over to the table, saw, and set it up. Set up the cut distance, cut some more test pieces, and then cut the segments. Same angle, of course. Again, I'm going to cut a test piece. Do that again. Right on time, once I get this set up, I use my other indicator I got on the fence to set it. Get this set up to 0.62. Right exact. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some segments. Cut 4 of these. There it is. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn the dust collector on and cut the rest. Okay, got the second ring cut. Got them lined up according to the pattern. Double checked, both of them, according to the pattern. Of course, these are just a little bit wider for a bigger ring. Now the rest of the rings are all cut the same. Of course, the pattern's different. And they keep getting bigger as the diameter of the turning goes out till they get out to right here. the biggest spot. Now we start going back down again. So I will show cutting another ring when we get up where I'm using the red heart for the diamond, and in the center of the diamond I'm going to put some Mecasar ebony. I got that. So I'm going to show a couple of rings up there, but it won't be in this video. It'll be in, I guess it'll be in the glue up video probably, because that's going to be quite a long video, I reckon. This is a short video. But anyway, there you have it. Cut on my table saw. Very easy, very simple. Got them lined up, ready to glue on. So the next video I'm going to show will be gluing them on. It'll be a bit of a longer video. So I appreciate you watching my videos, and I really appreciate those that subscribe. And come back and see part 4, I guess it'll be, when I start gluing them on. Thank you.